Lydia, this web root thing came up again. Good evening, Amalia. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Last week I was so sick I was in the bed. I don't usually have to do that. It's been a long time since I was in the bed, but I was last week.
Oh, for you feeling better?
I'm feeling some better. Yes, thank you.
Oh, it's good.
How about you? How's things going at your house?
So I'm fine. I just a little bit nervous because Sunday is last Sunday is the anniversary for my church. So and the people's 3 persons is positive for COVID.
Oh my goodness.
And the thing is I had to close one of those. I eat together in the same table. So I know it's just last Sunday. So I hope so not take anything. So because it's too many people's and I regularly use the mask for eating, no using.
Right.
And later it's a place socket outside and it's a lot of people's too. So I hope so no, because it's a family for whole family got it.
They didn't know before they came that you just have heard since Sunday that they came down sick with it?
I think somebody told me last Friday, one of those start feeling bad, but he don't know it's COVID.
I see.
And he have time for prayers Friday night and Sunday it's a service and it's maybe 3 or 4 or 5 hours around everybody. So and other people already got it. So I not got it. So I'm a little bit worried because for my daughters and for me and for us. I hope so no.
Well, I hope not also, and I will put you on my prayer list to pray that you don't get sick from having been
around. Oh yeah. Yeah, thank you, Miss Carolyn.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity last week to go over any of the things that we did in chapter 11 about the medicines and the health issues and all of those kinds of things? Did you have an opportunity to practice any of those things?
No, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, since you don't have any questions about it, let's go ahead and look at the vocabulary in chapter 12. Since your emphasis has been that you mainly wanted to get more vocabulary in your language, I want to go ahead to chapter 12, page 225. 225.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, this is about help wanted. It's about reading advertisements for people wanted for jobs and respond to a help wanted sign, to talk about job skills, read want ads, talk about hours that you can work, ask about job skills, use correct body language at a job interview, talk about work experience, complete a job application. Those were all the goals listed on this page, things that they're going to try to do in this unit. So it will be a different topic than we were talking about before. So we'll start with our page, 2 pages of pictures, people doing things that are job skills, and we will talk about what they have listed for to describe the work that they are doing. So if you look at picture number 1, she has answered the telephone. Usually that job is usually not just answering the telephone. Usually they call that a receptionist, someone who greets people that come to the desk. Also, if it's a medical situation, they would also have to check them in so the doctor would know that that appointment is there. They may need to make appointments, like someone calls, says, I can't make it. They may have to cancel appointment and then set up a new appointment. Sometimes if they don't give 24-hour notice, then you may have to tell that person, well, you do understand that in this office, if you don't let us know 24 hours ahead of time, then we do have to charge you. Sometimes it's $15, sometimes it's $20 if you don't keep your appointment. So that job is, it can make some people angry. You have to have real good skills in being able to talk to people to let them know that, okay, you didn't give us enough notice, so we will have to charge your account because you did not keep this appointment. So it's not sometimes just answering the phone and routing the phone call to someone. Sometimes it means you have to take some action. And that's why that person's called a receptionist. They receive information and then they have to decide, do I need to change their appointment? Do I need to cancel an appointment? Do I need to charge their bill? All those kinds of things. So there's a number of things that, and usually at a doctor's office, they have one person responsible of handling, if people are calling about making a payment, they have someone separate that's responsible for that. The receptionist usually does not handle that. So I didn't feel like some of their descriptions of what they are saying they are doing, it did not, usually the person who takes the phone call would take messages. If someone's leaving a message for someone in that workplace, that they would write down the message and get it to them. If it's messages for doctors, my experience with leaving messages for doctors is usually they transfer you to the doctor's nurse or a nurse practitioner to handle the call. The person receiving the call does not handle it usually. Now, if you just need a prescription renewed at the drugstore, usually the person answering the phone can get the nurse on the line to handle that. But that doesn't mean that the person receiving the phone call would take care of that. They would have to know how to use the telephone system in that office in order to move that call to the person that needs to take it. So number 1 and number 2, answering the phone and taking messages. To me, that is kind of the same job, but it depends on how many phone calls they get sometimes and how important they are. They may have other people that the person who receives the call has to forward the call on to someone else. Number 3, what does it say that description is?
Is use computer.
Okay, use of a computer. Now, the use of the computer usually isn't for computer games and things. It's usually to write letters or to like maybe in your job, making out menus
Uh-huh.
for different events and things that you have to, do you all do any catering in your
Uh-huh.
job where that you have to have certain jobs ready on a certain day in addition to your regular work?
Yeah.
And so as the kitchen manager, you have to keep up with that kind of thing. So you may have to be able to use a computer besides communicating with your staff about what salads need to be done, what meats need to be prepared, all
Mhm.
those kinds of things. You need to stay on top of that. Do you have a computer you use for that?
Yeah, I have an iPad for make a order for products for the everyday,
Mm-hmm.
and for see the new recipes too, and see the videos and everything, and if for the new stuff. Mhm.
So that would be one of the skills that you do is you use a computer
Yeah,
to help communicate what foods and things need to be ordered for.
for the next
Um,
day, every
how
day.
do you order for a week at a time or do you do it
No, every day.
every day?
Yeah, I have the because the iPad is every time is somebody using or needed for take orders or everything. So I put the app in my phone and I use my phone for ordering. So I have the app in my phone.
I see. Okay. Sometimes if you work in a big office where it's a legal office or something, the computer that they would use would be preparing legal documents.
Uh-huh.
And other businesses, they would have to prepare spreadsheets, and like if they do accounting and all that with money, they would have to have spreadsheets, of what all the expenditures are and what all of the income is.
Mhm.
Maybe they would have to use a computer to prepare bills that have to go out so that people will pay their bills so the company can keep going. So do you have any responsibilities for paying any of the bills for any of the companies that send food to the restaurant?
No.
Okay, that's all handled by a regular manager then.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, number 4.
I think make copies.
Okay. Um, in a business like income tax business or um, uh, insurance business, and there's a lot of businesses where that many things have to be copied. Some things have to be copied and then certified as actual copies, like a notary public, they have to take a gizmo that mashes the paper into a certain seal of the Tennessee, saying that they're certifying that this is a copy, but it's based off of the original, and we are swearing to the fact that we saw that this is a copy, but it's from the original document.
Mhm.
And so, and you usually can get that done like at a bank or something, and you pay extra for that. You
Mhm.
have to pay them sometimes $20 or something to verify that those copies were taken off of originals. So there's making copies, and then there's making certified copies, and number 5,
Um, driving.
driving a truck.
Mhm.
And depending on how many tires there are on the ground, how many wheels there are, may determine what if you have to have a special license for that.
Oh, okay.
18-wheeler drivers have to have a truck driver, a CDL, certified driving license, that they can operate an 18-wheeler. Some of them that just deliver in town and they don't have as many wheels, though it's not as big, just a box truck. Some of those don't have to have a special license. Some, if you're transporting other people, like medical transportation, if you're driving a van or something and you've got other people, you have to have a chauffeur's license. You have to have a special license for that. So there's just driving a truck where you're just hauling produce or things for the grocery store and that sort of thing, where you're not hauling people. You don't have to have a special license if the truck is small enough. But if you have a lot of extra wheels and you're going to have to back up into a loading dock and all that, then you have to have a CDL. So there are special licenses for certain kinds of drivers. Number 6, what is number 6?
Number 6, I lift heavy boxes.
Yes, lifting heavy boxes. I would not be able to do that. I have so much trouble in my back. I have to go to a chiropractor, so I would not be good at lifting heavy boxes. Do you have to lift quite a few heavy things in your job?
Sometimes.
Okay, number 7.
It's a delivery packets.
Okay, delivering packages. UPS, FedEx, US Mail. Number 8.
I think it's supervise.
Supervise workers. You do that. That's part of your job.
Yeah.
So we've named already several things that you do in your job, even though your main job is to supervise preparation of food. There are several things that you do in your job that might make good job skills for a different job. Number 9.
Fixing, what is that, the sink?
Okay, all it says there is fixing things. But that young man that's fixing on that pipe for that sink, who would you call if you needed somebody? What would you look under in the yellow pages to get someone to work on the pipes under your sinks and things? What would you call that?
Plumber.
A plumber. That's right. Certain kinds of problems you have to have a certified plumber for. Now, Charlie and I both have worked on our plumbing as far as like working on a toilet that's not working right, or just something under the sink, or putting in some Drano to get the lines flushed out. But sometimes after all you've done has not worked, sometimes you have to call a plumber. What is another kind of job that you may have to call somebody with a special skill to get done?
Electricity.
Okay, so that would be an electrician. What does your husband do?
He's mechanic.
A mechanic. So there again, that's fixing things. There's a lot of different people that come under that heading. So a mechanic, does he work on gas motors or diesel motors?
Gas.
Gas. And then there is like people who work on small engines, like a lawnmower or a rototiller, motorcycles.
Mhm.
You know, there are different kinds of people who work on different kinds of things. So an electrician. Now, there are some people who, because they've had some experience with things, can do a few things like with the electrical. Now, my husband could do quite a bit with electrical. He had been certified at one time to work on electrical because he put in air conditioners.
Oh,
And see,
okay.
an air conditioning business or heating business, that's totally different. It's a lot of it is electrical, especially the fan motors and things. So you have to be certified to work on those things. So he did a lot of checking, like if you have a switch that goes out in the house where you plug in things and suddenly things don't work anymore off of that switch and they have to go in and change the wires and everything. Well, you have to be someone who's been trained to do that. Just not anybody should be doing that. You need to know enough to go to the fuse box and throw the breaker or something so you don't electrocute yourself.
Mhm.
Sometimes if you get a new stove or something and you have to change the plug on the back or it won't work, well, then you need to get somebody who knows something about electricity, an electrician,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
do that. I'm trying to think of other things that are fixing things, but we have a special name we call those people, like the mechanic works on gas automobiles. Then there are diesel mechanics that work on big trucks, like 18 wheelers that use diesel motors,
Mhm.
tractors, that
Mhm.
farm implements, farm equipment. They have to be able to work on equipment that uses diesel.
Mhm.
Um, if you live out in the country, sometimes you have a well, and then there is a small motor that pumps the water up out of the ground. And those motors have to have work done on them sometimes. And so there are a lot of different kinds of people who fix things.
Mhm.
A man that drives a tow truck, he won't fix it, but he will move your vehicle so you don't get another ticket for being parked on the side of the road. He will move it, and he is licensed to haul a vehicle to a certain place so that you can get it fixed. I was trying to think if there was anything else. I may think of something else, but do you understand in my talking about these things?
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk about as much vocabulary. I don't feel that they gave you very much good vocabulary in this list for what it is I think that you want to learn. I think some of it's a little bit oversimplified. Like, for example, I have a friend that works for a company that he works on all of the service station equipment, like the gas pumps and all of that sort of thing. They have to be specially trained to handle all that stuff. So when you say fixing things, it's not just one kind of person,
Mhm.
that can work on just everything. He works for Hollingsworth in Springfield. So all of the sudden service stations, he's responsible from traveling from one to the other and being sure all their equipment is working.
Mhm.
I know that there's a shop in Springfield that they just work on fixing tires and anything that has to do with tires and wheels. Like they do alignments, they do balancing, they do, you know, anything that has to do with the tires and the wheels. And they do have batteries. You can buy batteries there. So most of the shops now pretty much specialize in certain kinds of things. Now, you can go to O'Reilly's or you can go to Advance, and they have equipment, and they will come out and try and tell you what's the matter with your vehicle. They can give you some advice about, is it okay if I keep going? This light came on. Is it okay if I keep using my vehicle, or am I going to burn up my vehicle if I keep going? You know, they don't really fix very much. They can help put windshield wiper blades on if your windshield wiper blades quit working. They might add some antifreeze for you or add some oil for you. They don't really work on the vehicle as such. They may put a light bulb in for you in your headlights, but they really don't work on it and fix it. So I was just trying to think of vocabulary that would, I'm using this as a springboard for us to think about and talk about different kinds of things that need fixing. Sometimes you have to find a specialty person who will do it. I had an old cabinet for china and dishes, and it was so old that it had begun to come apart. The cabinet doors on it and stuff had gotten loose, and they had started to fall apart. And I went to an antique restore person, and he went through that whole cabinet. He took all of it apart, cleaned it all up, restained it for me, and then he put new glue and put everything back together, screwed it all back together like it was supposed to be. And so he fixed something for me, but he restored a piece of furniture for me. So there are lots of different ways that people fix things. It was expensive, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
The wood that was in that cabinet was maple, which they don't even hardly use maple wood anymore to make furniture because it's very expensive. So to me, and because it was an antique, it was worth it to me to have it fixed. Refinishing furniture. Your dining room table, your pretty dining room table that you have, if it gets scratched up or damaged on top, say you have a tornado and the water comes in and ruins the top of your table, you would need to find someone who could restore. They would sand it all down, restain it, and put a finishing coat on it. So whether it's wood, whether it's mechanical, whether it's electrical, whether it's plumbing, everything has a different name for the title of that job. For clothing, in the yellow pages, you would look for a tailor. For a furniture where the covering on it is getting holes in it, but you want to keep that piece, you look for an upholsterer. An upholsterer, that means they take the upholstery off, the old, They put new batting underneath, new stuffing underneath, and they put an upholstery cover over the top. So there are different words, different vocabulary that we use to fix things depending on what they're going to be working on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you get a broken window, that person is called a glazier because it's glass that they have to replace.
Laser?
Yeah, but in the yellow pages, if you look up glass, you will find different people. But now people who work on glass for an automobile are different than people who work on glass to replace a window or patio doors, a large glass for patio doors. So you have to go to a special shop that just does windshield glass because it has to come already bent to fit in your vehicle.
Yeah.
So when they say someone who fixes things, it depends on what they're working on, what we call them. Number 10.
Number 10 is take care of the ground.
Okay, now we don't really say that, do we? Somebody that takes care of the grounds. Can you think of a word that you might have heard that means taking care of the grounds? Okay, one of them is a landscaper. Doing landscape work. Now, see, I think that would have been a much better word to help your vocabulary than what they put in here. Taking care of the grounds. Now, taking care of the grounds could be actually sweeping the sidewalks. It could mean sweeping the parking lot. Now, they have machines that they will use at night or on weekends to come and clean, actually use soapy water and all that sort of thing. And besides just sweeping a parking lot, sweeping the sidewalks, that fellow looks like he is doing landscape work because it looks like he's tilling up the soil around the hedges and around the flowers and things. Now, we also have people we call lawn service. People who just mow the yard and do the edging, maybe sweep, blow, they use a blower and they blow the grass off of the sidewalks and things. But they're not really landscapers. They really don't till the soil, get the weeds all out and all that sort of thing unless you pay them extra. Pruning trees is a special thing. Tree surgery. A lot of those companies work for the electric companies and things, and they go up and down the roads, trim all of the tree limbs off so that they don't get into the electric lines. So when we talk about landscaping for a business, it's one thing. If it's lawn service where they come and mow your yard for you, keep the weeds down, just do the weed eating. That's different than landscaping. Landscaping usually means they till up the dirt, they prepare a bed to put flowers in. You see that around hospitals and around big businesses where they have landscaping people who come every season, every 3 or 4 months. They
And
come,
put the mulch.
put the mulch, plant trees, plant flowers. In the early spring, they'll plant early spring flowers. In the fall, they'll plant something that will be pretty through the winter, like pansies and things like that. So to me, taking care of the grounds for your purposes, that vocabulary doesn't seem sufficient for what you need to know. I think you're further down the road than what this book is indicating. Okay, now then, number 11.
Clean floors.
Okay, now at a hospital or in a big building, are they going to call that cleaning floors? They're going to say, get someone from housekeeping services, get the janitor, get, you know, they're going to have a specific name for a person who does those things. Most hospitals, I think, still call that housekeeping services. They do more than clean the floors. In fact, the unit that he's using there looks to me like an industrial size floor polisher.
Yes, it's because it's the big machine.
Yes, it's a big machine, and it has a big brush there on the floor, and it usually has a pad, and you see how shiny the floor is behind him? I think he's polishing the floor.
Polishing.
Now, there's probably a vacuum system on there that when he loosens dirt up, that it sucks it up into this machine. But I think that is an industrial size floor polisher.
Polishes.
And they usually don't polish, actually put the polish on the floor. Like schools do it twice a year. They'll do it at Christmas break and they'll do it in the summer before school starts again. And they'll strip the floors down. They use really strong chemicals to take all the floor polish off. And then they go in with a heavy duty polish that's usually like a wax and put it on there. And then all they have to do is buff the floor, you know, half of it through the regular school year. They just use the buffer to bring the shine back up. What other kinds of things would they do besides cleaning the floors, the housekeeping service?
Clean the restrooms.
Clean the restrooms. Be sure there's enough soap in the dispensers and paper towel in to dry their hands. They may have to, if there's carpets anywhere in an office building, they would probably have to take a vacuum sweeper. And then in each office, there's going to be a trash receptacle somewhere that's going to have to be emptied and a plastic bag put in. So janitorial service or housekeeping service is meant to be keeping things clean. They may do some inside windows, but then they have to hire another service to do the outside windows because they have to get up on a scaffolding and they have to have special Insurance, they have to have special bonding and everything to be sure that they don't do something to damage the windows. They have to use appropriate cleaning supplies. A lot of those glass buildings that have big glass windows have some sort of tint on the windows. And if they use the wrong cleaning materials, it can damage the glass. Can you think of anything else that housekeeping service, janitorial service would have to do?
Sometimes clean the windows too.
Sometimes cleaning windows, door handles. Since we've had COVID, they've had to add a lot more specific jobs to be sure that the germs are kept under control, that the doorways and walkways are not cluttered. Okay, what's number 12?
It's so he's helped the lady.
Yes, he's helping her, but he probably has a different title. It's not just helping. He probably has a title of an orderly or an aide. He might be a nurse's aide or an orderly that's helping her, or he could be a physical therapist. A physical therapist teaching her how to use the walker to keep from falling. She may not be used to using a walker. She may be used to doing her own balance and her own, walking. And now she has to learn how to use it to stand up straight, keep her back straight, put the walker ahead, then take a step. And especially the tricky part, going up and down steps. Using a walker to go up and down steps, it's tricky.
Hard. Yeah, hard.
So a physical therapist would be teaching her how to use it. Also, an aide would be helping her get around, especially if she's in a nursing home. They don't like them unless they develop a history that they don't fall. They like to have someone with them at all times if they're up moving around and they've had a history of falling. If they lose their balance, if they have low blood pressure or high blood pressure. So there's a lot of different terms that can be used for helping people. And besides physical therapists, there is vocational rehab therapists. After someone's had a stroke, they may have to learn how to use their fine motor skills, like learn how to use a pair of scissors, learn how to write their name again, learn how to use silverware again. So there's a wide variety of people who help people, but they help them with different things. Physical therapists would be motor coordination, walking, dressing, occupational therapist or that sort of thing is using scissors, using kitchen equipment. There's a lot of different terms or vocabulary that we can use to describe people who help people learn certain tasks, depending on the task they want to learn. So, have we added something to your vocabulary in terms of job skills? Um, okay, the next little section, let me see what this says about responding to a help wanted sign. Okay, you see the diner, and what do you see? A help wanted sign. They want a cook and a waiter. So what would be the waiter's job? What do waiters have to do?
The waiter.
When you go to a fancy restaurant, they usually have what they
Oh,
call a host or a hostess.
yeah, the people come with you and asking about where you drink or where what you like for eating, or the people service and the
Okay, a host or a hostess usually will take and seat you. Now, if they're not real busy, they may not have a host or a hostess there. Cracker Barrel usually has a host or a hostess that will take you to a table. They give you a menu. They be sure that you have your silverware. Sometimes they'll get you your drinks, or sometimes they just say, I will assign a waitress or a waiter to your table. And they come to your table, and what's the first thing they ask you?
For drink.
Okay, that's right. What do you want to drink?
Yeah, it's the first question.
And then they'll say, are you ready to order?
When come back to bring you drink, asking.
Yes, yes. So, and when your food is prepared, then they will bring your food to your table. And one of their goals is to bring everybody's food at the same time if they can. Now, if the party is too large, they'll bring out part and then bring the rest of it, you know, as they work their way around the table. And then after you get part way into your meal, they'll come to your table and they will ask you what question?
Where you order for eating?
After they bring your food, then they wait a little while and they'll come by and they'll say, is everything okay? Is there anything else you need?
Oh, asking so you need a
when you forgot to ask for ketchup, you say, I forgot to get ketchup. So they'll bring ketchup to your table or hot sauce and then when they think you're just about through eating, they'll come back to your table and they will say, did you want dessert with this meal? Are you going to order something sweet? They're trying to encourage you to spend more at their restaurant.
Normal.
So they're trying to sell everything they have on the menu if they can.
Yeah.
Now, the very last thing that they ask you, the waiter.
The last thing is well, sometimes say is every is the it's a big family. Sometimes asking about this one check or separate checks.
Right. They may ask that. They also usually, if they see that you didn't eat something on your plate, they will say,
boxes.
do you want a takeout container to take it home.
Uh-huh.
So the waiter's job is pretty important. They have a lot that they have to do with the people. So they have to have a good personality and be able to understand and converse with people at all different levels. And then they at the very last, they'll say, "Are you ready for your check? Do you want me to give you your receipt?" And so then you take the receipt. Some places you pay for it with the waiter. And some places you have to go up to a different desk with your receipt and pay. So that is the waiter. Now, the cook. I think you know what a cook does. Can you tell me what a cook does?
Yeah, I cook every order for the customers.
You be sure everybody's plate, and I'm sure at your restaurant you have a standard. If they ordered fried chicken, there are certain things that need to be on that plate.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a regular menu. So for sometimes people not like some the menu and add or less some things. Maybe not like tomato or like extra tomato, or not like butter in the bun, or not like a bun, or like a gluten free, or
Yeah,
too many things. So
yeah, and so you have to be sure each order is correct as to what that person ordered.
yes.
So they have a big job too, but theirs is more confined, where the waiter has several things to do throughout that person's meal. The cook, once they get the food prepared, get it on the plate, and get it ready to go out, then their job for that table is just about through. Because a lot of times desserts are not made individually. A lot of times the wait staff have to put the desserts on the plates and serve it. So the waiters have a big job. Okay. Let's take a look at the grammar. Go to page 230.
230. Okay, 230.
Okay, if you use the word can. Okay. Now there's a big problem between the words can and may. So if your children come to you and say, "Mother, can I go outside?" You need to tell them, "Well, I know you're able to go outside, but I would rather that you didn't." Because what they really need to know is, may I go outside? In other words, I cleaned my room. I have time to play now. Do I have your permission? So may I do this means, do I have your permission to do it? If you ask, I can or can I, it means I'm able. Are you able?
Okay, I can. Okay.
Okay, so the word we're using is can.
Okay.
I can make hamburgers. You can make hamburgers. I can use a computer. Now, the boss may ask you, can you use a computer? They are asking you, are you able? Okay, now then, if your child comes and says, can I use the computer? You need to say, I don't know. Are you able to use the computer? Or are you asking permission to use the computer?
Okay.
The word can in American society has gotten very confused.
Okay.
Can means, are you able? The word may means, I'm asking permission to do it.
May.
So to use good English, the word can means I'm able to do this. But if you are working in a Mexican restaurant and the cook says to the boss, can I make hamburgers? He has confused the issue. He needs to say, may I make hamburgers? The restaurant serves Mexican food. The boss may not want hamburgers to be made in his restaurant because he is serving Mexican food. He needs to say, do I have your permission to make the children hamburgers? They don't appreciate, they don't care for the Mexican food that we serve. And that there are people like that. I remember the first Christmas, Charlie wanted to take his children out to eat. Well, Charlie and I had been eating out, and we would eat at different places, and we got accustomed to eating seafood or fish if it was a special meal. And we took them to a seafood and fish place. They did offer hamburgers. Well, Charlie did it to do something special for his kids, but they all ate hamburgers because their diet was so narrow, they wouldn't eat anything but a hamburger. You know, and that's fine. If that's what they wanted, then, you know, that's fine. But they ate hamburgers and French fries for Thanksgiving.
Oh.
But that's what I say, you know, sometimes some Americans have such a narrow diet. They don't experiment with different food. And if they go to a nice restaurant, they want to order the same things that they're accustomed to, hamburgers and French fries. And I know this in particular because I have traveled with people. I went to the Ukraine, and they had a very nice dining room, and they had a very nice kitchen, and they served us wonderful food. But some of the teenagers that came with their grandparents refused to eat it. There was nothing wrong with the taste of it, but they were so accustomed to eating hamburgers and French fries that the grandparents were having to hire a taxi every meal and take them to a local McDonald's in the Ukraine, in the capital city, to go get hamburgers and French fries. It was very expensive. All that food had been shipped there from the United States.
Yeah.
So do you understand what the problem can get to be? You can offer a really good meal, but if they're not used to eating really good food and all they want is what they're used to, it's not a question of can you. They could have eaten the food. There was nothing wrong with the food, but they did not want to. What they wanted to eat was what they were used to. So sometimes the people that are in charge are put in a position of having to say, may I serve them hamburgers because that's all they will eat. So it's not can he do it, but may he do it.
Cannot pay.
May gives permission, can means are you able? Okay, so use the base form of the verb after can or can't. So we're using the two, make and use. So I use the example of making hamburgers. So you use the one that says use. I can use a computer.
I can.
Then you say you can use a computer. He can use a computer.
Asefa can use the computer. She can use the computer. We can use the computer. You can use a computer. They can use the computer.
Good.
And
Can't,
negative.
the contraction can't.
Can't is when it's negative. I can use a cash register. You can use a cash register. He can use a cash register. Asefa can use a cash register. She can use a cash register. We can use a cash register. You can use a cash register. And they can use a cash register.
Good.
And I use the make can make no. I can make. I can
What
use
can
it.
you make?
A pizza.
Pizza?
You
Okay.
can make pizza. He can make pizza. Asefa can't make pizza. She can make pizza. We can make pizza. You can make pizza. And they can make pizza.
Okay. So it means they are able to or they're not able to. If they've never seen a pizza made, they may not know the steps to go through. If they put the cheese on first, then the tomato sauce will not stick to the pizza. If they put the pepperoni and stuff on first, the tomato sauce will slide off.
That's the order. So you need to put the salsa first, and the pepperonis, and maybe the last thing is the cheese.
So the word can means able. Are they able? or are they not able to do it? So the rest of that exercise is pretty much about they can do this, but they can't do that. They're able to do one thing, but not the other. Like, for example, she can't use a computer, but she can answer the phones. She can take messages, but she can't write a report. She can't work with numbers, but she can organize things. So when you get someone new that's working in the kitchen, you may have to report back to your boss. Okay, what is this person good at doing? What are they able to do? What do you find you're able to, what jobs can you trust them with? And that's when you would use, they are able to do this or they're not able to do that, meaning they can do it or they can't do it. Okay, I think we have pretty much exhausted that issue. Okay, let's read some want ads on page 232. Okay, we're going to talk about some abbreviations. So before I read those want ads, let's take a look. There's a little pale yellow box there to the side that says full-time equals 35 to 40 hours a week. Part-time equals less than 35 hours a week. And then full-time is abbreviated FT. So part-time would be what?
Part-time.
Full-time is FT. So what would part-time be?
It's a PT.
PT, part-time. Experience. What would be the abbreviation for experience?
SEXP.
EXP. That means they have had to have done this job before. Necessary, an abbreviation would be NEC. And of course, the abbreviation for hour is HR. Okay, so let's take a look there at those help wanted. And the first one says truck driver. It says full-time, experience necessary, $18 an hour. They want you to fax an application information to Hanaco, and they gave you a phone number, area code 650-555-2579. Now, you read the one that says child care worker.
It's part-time, Monday to Friday, 9 to 3, $12 per hour. Call Jasmine at 650-555-3328.
Good. Cooks are needed at Bill's Burgers. No experience necessary. They're desperate. Everybody's walked out on them, and they need somebody to come in and flip burgers. $7 an hour in the evening. Apply in person. In other words, they want to check you out and see if you're clean about your person, especially your hands. That's one of the things that I told my students. When you go for an interview on a job, be sure you've got clean hands and clean fingernails, especially if you're going to be working around food. And that was before COVID. And I'm sure that they require you have to glove up. But if a boss sees you come in for a job interview and you're going to be working around food and you've still got car grease and oil and stuff under your fingernails and you look like you've been changing tires, they're not interested. They don't want you coming to work looking like you came from the mechanic shop. Now, that might be acceptable for a mechanic, but it's not acceptable to go to a food place with dirty hands.
Is that one reason my husband, he knows mechanic too young. So he worked with somebody else in Honduras and he learning. So for when he try, he have a part-time in mechanic and he try take another part-time in a restaurant. For he no can do that because the nails is anytime he need clean a lot. Now it's clean because he no made mechanic for now for 1 year. He working in construction now. For the thing is, he always had the dirty, like greasy in the clothes and it's bad for me because when I use, I don't know, I no can do that and I use my laundry and it's terrible. And
I
it
know.
clean everything inside and it's greasy for everywhere. And my car, when he cut my car and he take it out the clothes and the seat and everything. So it's greasy for everywhere. And he can do the restaurant because the hands looks dirty and it's so greasy in the nails inside and he needed clean and everything and it's too much. So it's out of him. So no, you can work in the restaurant, no.
When I was growing up, we did a lot of farm labor, which meant we were out in the dirt all the time. And our hands were dirty and filthy. But every night when we came in, we used a little bit of water with a little bit of Purex, little Clorox, and we would use a toothbrush to get around our nails and everything to help clean them. But you have to mix it with water, or the toothbrush, when it puts little dots of it on, it gets on your clothes and it'll take the color right out of your clothes.
Yes.
But that will help take some of the grease. And there are some special mechanic hand cleaners that you can get. They call it Gojo, that helps take the grease and stuff off of your hands. But I know what you're saying, because we had to, when I worked for my dad, we had to oil and grease all of the tractors and everything. I've been there. I know it's hard to get out, but you don't go and apply for a job at a restaurant if you haven't gotten your hands cleaned up. Yes. You'll not get the job.
Yes, it's hard people to understand because I work with a lot of teenagers and before I'm finished working 2 o'clock and everybody come, the teenagers, and I need to follow everybody and say, wash your hands, not touch your face, put the mask up, and oh my God. Some people's mad because say, I already washed my hands. And I say, yeah, you already washed them for you touch your face or you touch your body and you need to wash again.
Or touch their hair. They'll reach up and do something, flip their hair or something.
Sometimes put something like cover the hair after wash the hands and I need to come back to wash the hands again. Yeah,
Well, I know. I told them and I told them and I told them and I told them before they ever went for the interview. And one of the boys came back and he said, well, I went for that interview, but I didn't get the job. And the girl was standing next to him and she said, look at your hands, Tommy. Look at your hands. Your hands are dirty. You've got that grease right in your knuckles and everything. And they could see that.
Yeah.
And she told you before you went. Okay, let's take a look and see what else we find in this chapter. That's some more experience with reading. Help wanted ads, but it's mainly the same abbreviations: experience necessary, full-time, part-time. I think you get the gist of that. Okay, let's go over to page 236.
Okay.
We have another grammar section there. And there again, it is talking about the word can or use or work. Do you feel comfortable understanding what we talked about in the last section about the word can versus the word may? There are a lot of people who can use a computer. That doesn't mean you want everyone on your staff using the computer in your office because they may be using it for something besides work. So not everyone will have permission. They will not be able to use the computer because the company does not want them on there using the computer for something besides work. Okay, here's the grammar issue that we need to think about when we're writing questions and answers. When you answer a question with yes or no, you need to put a comma after the yes or the no. So look at the second half. In the first half, the question is, can you work this Saturday? Okay, so the answer is, you go ahead and tell me the answer.
Yes, I can.
Okay, do you see there after yes? There's a comma. So
yes.
say, yes, I can. Okay, or no, I can't. I have no babysitter for that day. I can't leave my children. So after the no or the yes, you put a comma because that's the answer you want to finish, to let the person that asks the question know that you're answering their question. You say, yes, I can. Yes, no, I can't. And when you say, no, I can't, usually you will say, I have no childcare that day. I can't do it. My mother is sick. I have to take her to the doctor that day. Whatever the reason is, usually you need to give it one more statement as to why it's just not possible. And most bosses will understand that. Sometimes these young kids say, no, I can't because I have a date that night. And if they're desperate for help, they may say, well, I'm very sorry, but either you come to work or else you don't have a job. You know, it's either dating or it's working. And we feel that work takes precedent over a date. Now, Lydia had kids that would call her and ask her to come cover a shift for them. They were scheduled for a shift at the Y. And one young lady tried to make Lydia believe that she had an appointment at a college for, for freshman introduction to the college at 7 o'clock at night.
No.
On a Friday night. Nobody's going to make an appointment like that. She was trying to make out like it was something really important and that was the only time she could do it. Anyway.
Another day, one lady texts me like 3:30 in the morning, and she say, I don't come work today because my finger is I think I broke my finger. And I listen the message, I saw the message maybe around 4:30 when I wake up. So for I read it and I say, wait a minute, 3:30 in the morning? Where is she's sleeping at that time? What happened? And she not come to work for 3 days because she said she broke the finger. So I don't know. So I just my boss just fired her.
Well, that's something else. Lydia would find when she'd wake up the next morning, somebody had sent her a text overnight saying, can you cover my shift at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning? I can't get there, or, something's happened that I can't. It's a regularly scheduled shift. They waited till in the middle of the night to send a message that they can't make it for that morning. And somebody's got to be there because they're lifeguards. There's got to be somebody there. And Lydia says, I can't even, that shift's already started because I was not planning to be there. I didn't get up that early. They sent me a message overnight after midnight.
Yeah, no.
Oh. Okay. Page 238. This is about an interview, about body language.
Okay.
I'm going to read the paragraph and then we'll complete the sentence together. When you meet someone for the first time, you form an opinion about that person. For example, you think, this person is helpful, or this person is fun. This is your first impression. A first impression is your opinion about a person when you meet for the Look at the first sentence. It says, when you meet someone for the
first time.
That is your first impression. You meet them for the first time and your first impression. Talk about it. Think about someone at work or school. What was your first impression of this person? I work with Camilo. My first impression was he's really friendly. Simone is in my computer class. Like back when we first met in the fall, did you have a first impression about me? That lady is really old. I wonder if she can really share anything with me.
No, 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 no. I'm sure you have a lot of experience, Miss Caroline.
Yeah, I do have a lot of experience, that's for sure. Lots of different kinds of people. I've been lots of places.
Mhm.
When you first met your boss that you have now, what was your first impression?
Oh, he's really nice. And he still is nice for I'm working with him for almost 19 years. So I'm sure he changed and I changed. Because anytime he told me I'm sweet girl. For I don't think so. Sometimes I'm not sweet. Sometimes I follow everybody, not make the rules. And one time I'm asking, are you sure I'm a sweet person? And he said, yes, you do. And I say, I don't think so.
Well, I'm sure you have your days, just like everyone does. When you're
Yeah.
under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, things happening at home, things happening at work, that
Yes.
you have days that it's easier to be sweet than other days.
Yes.
A person's body language is one thing that helps you form an impression. Your body language is important in a job interview. So look at the pictures and read the sentences. Then practice the body language. In picture A, they're shaking hands firmly. I just hate somebody that's got a wet dish rag for a handshake. You know, they put it out there like it's just too much of an effort to shake hands with you. You know, I just hate that. And of course, now we don't do much handshaking anymore because of COVID. So, but I always appreciate someone that, you know, firmly, I don't want them pumping my hand for an hour. Just shake hands and be done. In picture B, they're making eye contact. That means they're looking you in the eye. One of the things that has made our classes easier is being able to see your faces, to be able to look you in the eye and know who we're talking to. If we were having to do it without seeing each other, I just don't think we'd have made it at all. It's just too hard to talk to people and not know, because just like now, a smile crossed your face. You didn't even have to say anything. I knew that I'd made a point with you about how important it is to be able to see someone in the eyes. Okay, she's sitting in the chair, but she has her hands on her lap. So she's not fiddling with her fingernails and she's not digging through her purse. She's relaxed. She's not anxious or overwrought. She's sitting quietly. In the picture of the young man in D, he's leaning forward slightly. So he's leaning forward, listening, you know, he's at attention, he's focused on the situation that's at hand. Picture E, she's smiling. The gentleman is standing about 3 feet away. It's 6 feet now because of COVID. Everything's because of COVID. So those are some things that they recommend if you are getting a job interview. And I know you have other things to do this evening, and this is our last week together. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to read a section on making a first good impression, and we'll look at the questions.
This is the last class, Miss Caroline?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
this is the last Thursday of the month. This is the 29th.
Yes, the 29th, I forgot. Yes, yes.
Yeah, this is our last class.
Another day, maybe you know the Pastor Luis Lopez is
Yes.
Spanish. And I'm asking because before he's come in this same church ago, and I know him for too many years, and I go to meet with somewhere for dinner with somebody, the family, and I saw him and I'm asking about the class for English, and he asked me, so you can continue the class and you available for come to Springfield? And I say no, because I'm not driving, it's so far for me. And he told me maybe it's continue online, and I
Oh,
say,
really?
yeah, he told me maybe it's continue online, depend how many students want it. And
Right.
I want it. I really want it because I like it. I like so much.
Well,
I
I
hope
know
so.
with your schedule, it would be impossible. There just wouldn't be enough time for you to drive, and with your responsibilities with your children and everything. You know, and Marty with his work responsibilities and everything, I know that there would not be any way for y'all to continue unless we did it online. So maybe I'll follow up and talk with Brother Luis, or Lisa Cobb is the one who will be taking over responsibility for the classes.
Okay. I
And
hope so.
I'll mention to her what you and I talked about this evening,
Mhm.
that you would like to continue, but
Yeah, I like it.
it's
I
just
really
not
like it.
possible to drive.
No, because it's so far for me, and I made the high set before to in 2017. So
Mhm.
somebody write for me every Thursday and everything. For it's hard for I making, so for I like it the class. I remember when I in 2017, I have a friend come every Thursday over there. For
Yeah.
she's moving. I know she's not available for driving for me or something. So.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I would certainly recommend you for second level. You know, I have felt like this year hasn't been maybe as informative. I've added a lot to the lessons
Mm-hmm.
in order to help you build more vocabulary, so that it wasn't a total loss for you, because some of the lessons were just too simple. Now, the directions one, everybody has trouble with that. Even English
Yeah.
speaking people
Yeah.
have trouble with directions. But basically, most of the vocabulary, like especially in this lesson, we had to upgrade it to make it a challenge, make it something that you could learn and talk. We could talk about actual occupations and not just the simple fixing things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let's talk about first impressions for job interviews.
Okay.
You have a job interview. How can you make a good first impression? Your words are important, but your body language is important too. Here are some tips. When you meet the interviewer, shake hands firmly. Stand about 3 feet away. Make eye contact and smile. You may feel stressed, but try to look relaxed. When you sit down, stay relaxed, look friendly. Sit up in your chair, lean forward just a little. This shows you are listening to the interviewer. Put your hands on your lap. Don't touch your face or hair. We've talked about that this evening.
Mm-hmm.
When you leave the interview, shake hands with the interviewer again. Smile, make eye contact, and don't forget, thank the interviewer. Practice all these tips before you go to your interview. The right body language can help you get the job. Good luck. A good job interview starts with a good body language. So I think you understand the importance of a
Yes.
first interview. You haven't had one in a long time because you've worked for the same employer. Read the article again if you need to. What is the main idea?
the first impression, the good first impression.
Right. A good first impression. You want to appear friendly. You don't want to appear anxious. You want to show appreciation to the interviewer. And you want to be respectful. All of those qualities are qualities that any company would like to have in an employee. Give each other tips on good body language for a job interview. Use your own words. Okay, we already did that. Talk about it. What are some other ways to make a good first impression in a job interview? Dressing neatly. Another thing in food service, don't have a lot of long fingernails with a lot of nail polish and all that kind of
Nothing.
stuff. Don't wear too much makeup. You can wear a little, but don't overdo. And just something simple, not all of the fancy stuff that I wouldn't use false eyelashes and all that kind of thing to go for a job interview. I had to go for a job interview one time I was changing schools from one side of the county to the other after I came to Tennessee. And the principal that was interviewing me, I said, now, Dr. Chester, I'm sorry, my hands don't look the best. I was canning tomatoes when you called and wanted me to come in for this interview. And so I've washed my hands, but they are stained from canning tomatoes. And I said, I didn't have time to get them cleaned up before I needed to be here for this appointment. So I told him what, I went ahead, and he's a farm boy. He understood completely. He knew what canning tomatoes was all about. So he understood, that I had been busy in my home, taking care of my family when I had to put it all down. And because he called me to come in on short notice. He was getting ready to leave town and he needed to get the interviews done. And so I accommodated him, but I wanted to let him know why my hands didn't look the best. So I have been in that situation where my hands were stained with vegetables and fruit and things.
And I told my daughter she have an interview 2 weeks ago for she take a in the clinic for the hospital too close in Hendersonville. So because she's bilingual, so and the office needed somebody speak Spanish and English, and I told her, so you need a dress, you need a formal dress, so something you looks like, because she like this kind of, and I say no, you don't need to come with this, you need to come with formal blouse and maybe the pants, formal pants, and take it out, you put up your hair and everything looks good. Yes.
Hair off of your face. These kids that wear their hair across one eye and keep slinging their head. Oh, that drives me. I get after my daughter sometimes about that.
And she taking the job.
Good.
She taking the job.
Yeah, you're right. Business style clothing. If you're going to be working in an office, business style clothing, a button-up blouse or shirt, up, not showing cleavage and all that sort of thing, and not too casual. Yeah, these young people, it's hard to make them understand that what they wear to school, if you work at the school, you need to dress differently. It's a sign of respect. One of the things that I was just telling my mother the other day, when kids would come to my classroom, because I was supposed to teach them how they needed to behave, not only in the classroom, but to prepare them to go out for job interviews and into the workplace. And I said, you have to stop and think about how you would talk if you had to go to court and talk to the judge, and you are being judged. So when you go for a job interview, that boss is looking at you to decide whether you are guilty or whether you are good enough to work for them. And so I said, you want to use language, and you want to, your appearance needs to be in such a way that you would represent them in a manner in which they would like to be represented. They want somebody that will be dressed respectful, speak respectfully to others. And one of the things I would not let my children in my classroom do is call each other dog. You know, they went through that spell of calling each other dog. And I had a 45-minute speech, and I gave that speech. And, you know, I didn't have to give that speech again. And they did not use that language in my classroom. I said, that's just disrespectful to talk to each other that way. Okay. I don't think that we have any more grammar that we need to talk about. I don't think we, okay, just like when we were using was and were, when you ask the questions, you use in the past tense, was and were, okay? Were you at the sink when the pot boiled over? Were you at the sink? No, I wasn't. I was in the restroom when the pot boiled over. Okay, well, you need to cut the fire down before you go to the restroom if there's nobody to watch the pot. So using the words was and were for past tense, and that's on page 242.
Okay.
How long were you at your last job? I was there for 3 years. I was there for 19 years. And so we use was and were for past tense.
Past tense.
Okay. Also for the negative, wasn't and weren't. And I think that that's all that I can impart. And like I say, I know you have other things to do. I will talk with Lisa Cobb and Brother Louise. I think Marty too would probably participate in a level 2 class if we had it online. The good thing for me about doing it online is in the winter time, I have trouble keeping my body temperature up.
Okay.
And so if I'm at home, unless I get so sick I have to go to bed like last week, I could do those classes online regardless, because I wouldn't have to get out either.
Mhm.
So I may talk to her about that. You know, I'm not trying to make them do it. I'm just saying that I could be available and offer that as an option for some who would like to stay online because they live so far from
Mhm.
our local area.
Yeah.
And so I'll pitch it to them and see what they have to say about it. I had just thought that what they had told me was that they definitely weren't going to do it. But if Brother Luis is on board with it, I would be willing to try it again next year and to do it online if you all are satisfied with the online learning.
Yeah, I really like it and appreciate the time for you take it for teach me.
Okay. Well, you have a good summer.
Thank you, Miss Caroline. You too. And thank you so much for everything you do.
Oh, well, you're so welcome. And you are such a good student, and so is Marty. And Raina was a good student. And
Yes.
I don't know what happened to the young lady from Venezuela. Her name was unusual.
Yureva.
Yareva. She was
Yureva
a good
is
student.
Yureva is sister for the brother Luis.
Yes, that's what I
Yes.
heard. But I don't know. I heard that some of those from Venezuela have gone back to Venezuela. So I don't know if she was one of them or not, but I have not heard from her at all.
No, I think she's working in the factory in Lebanon.
Oh, and so her
maybe
schedule may have not.
maybe it's why. I not talk to her long time. So if I try talk to her, maybe start again the class, maybe she can meet too.
Okay. Yeah, because she was working on computers or something, selling computers or something. And I thought she had office work in the fall, but maybe she went to the factory and her schedule was different.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Somebody told me, but I'm not sure because I not talked to her long time ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure. So I just listen to other people talking about. I'm not sure is that is true. So for I'm try. I have the phone number and I try make messages or something for asking. Maybe she like meet when started class again.
Yeah. But you and Marty, I think, would be ready to go up to level 2. I think she would probably get more out of level 2 also, the Ureba. Raina also worked very hard, and I think she would probably be ready for a level 2 class.
Yes.
Even though she didn't meet with us this spring, but a couple of times. Okay, dear. Well, you have a good summer, and I hope your family is all healthy, and I hope you get the COVID, and I'll be praying for you.
Thank you so much, Miss Caroline. Thank you.
Okay.
And
Good
say,
night.
Lydia, thank you for she help.
Yes, I sure will tell her.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.